in look now. Oh God, just now. We're gonna rush the brush. Oh God, why? So I'm seeing here again, Member of Parliament for Aruka Lupino. He's the Minister of Public Utilities, the rail water man. So I'm seeing a post here, another milestone for the water sector in Trinidad and Tobago. And this is him speaking, I assume. I'm excited to share that this morning at 10 a.m., I will be turning the survey for the upgrade of the Gonapo Water Treatment Plant, WTP, and the refurbishment of the North Oropuch Water Treatment Plant, WTP. The upgrade of the Gonapo WTP will greatly enhance service for approximately 20,500 residents in Arima, Pinto Road, Calvary Hill, Mount Pleasant, Eleanor Gardens, Bypass Road, and surrounding communities. In parallel, the refurbishment of the North Oropuch WTP will significantly boost the reliability of service for around 185,962 residents in Northeast Trinidad. He said he will be joined by his colleagues. That was this morning. I think it was, yes, if I'm not mistaken. If it's not this morning, it was recently. He said he was going to be joined by his colleagues, the Honorable Penelope Beckles Robinson, Minister of Planning and Development and Member of Parliament for Rima, Mr. Roger Moore, Member of Parliament for Toko Sandy Grande, and also Dr. Rai Ragbir, Member of Parliament for Komoto Manzalina. So that's some good works again coming out there from public utilities. I don't think we have ever gotten so much water before. And all who's saying is not true, they're lying. I'm also saying, hi Sarah, Waterloo is connected. It's at the Ministry of Digital Transformation, MDT, is proud to announce the official opening of the Waterloo ICT Access Center located at the corner of Main Road and Butler Village. This new center is part of our commitment to build a digitally inclusive Trinidad and Tobago. So residents now have access to a range of resources at no cost to them, including internet and computer devices, printing services, digital skills training and support programs, training and conference facilities, on-site support from a dedicated community team. The launch event saw enthusiastic community engagement with residents exploring the new technology and discussing the positive impact this center will have on their lives. The Waterloo ICT Access Center is a vital hub for digital empowerment, ensuring all citizens have the resources and skills to thrive in the digital age. So that's some good work again coming out there from the Ministry of Digital Transformation. I'm also seeing that our steel pan, by September of this year, the central bank is saying, let me see what it is saying. Hi, Christopher. It's saying here, hi, Raymond. Blue, blue. You sound like when we in primary school. Blue, blue, God love you. Red, red, you pee your bed. Yellow, yellow is a fancy fellow. Something, something, something. Can't remember all the rest. So 2 days ago in the garden, I said the central bank to unveil a new $100 bill with steel pan in September. Economist Dr. Valmiki Arjun says the central bank decision to update the $100 banknote reflects a commitment to ensuring the reliability of the currency. His comments came in wake of the bank's announcing over the weekend that the newly designed $100 bill will be in circulation from September, will feature a steel pan instead of the 3 ships of Columbus. Arjun said the integrity of the currency is vital for economic stability. When consumers trust that their money is genuine and challenging to counterfeit, they are more likely to engage in everyday transactions, thereby supporting economic activity. This confidence is essential for an economy to thrive, where both consumers and feels businesses feel secure in their financial transaction, he explained. He further noted that introducing new banknotes with advanced security features is a standard practice among central banks, particularly to combat counterfeiting. As technology evolves, counterfeiters gain access to increasingly sophisticated printing techniques. By incorporating enhanced security elements such as a larger security strip and holographic features, the difficulty of replicating banknotes is significantly increased. These measures are crucial to preventing financial losses due to counterfeiting and ensuring that the currency maintains its value, Arjun explained. What again he says here? Arjun has lots of things to say. Moving forward, he added that it is vital for the central bank to implement a campaign that highlights the security features of the new notes, adding, this will ensure consumers and businesses are aware of these features and are better equipped to protect themselves against counterfeiting. On January 13, 2025, Parliament approved the National Emblem of Trinidad and Tobago Regulation Amendment Bill 2025 to give legal effect for the change of the coat of arms. The adjusted coat of arms has been integrated into the $100 banknote 2025 series. As outlined in the bank's September 2024 strategic plan update, the production of the 2025 series was modified to integrate the change. The central bank said this note will be very similar to the current $100 note, the 2019 series, with a new security feature, noting that the 2025 series is now scheduled for public distribution by September. Other changes compared to the 2019 series involve a larger security strip incorporating recent banknotes technology with, among other things, the bird of paradise in iridescent ink in a larger see-through window with holographic elements, the bank said. The new $100 polymer bill was supposed to be introduced in December last year. However, this was postponed to this year because of the announcement of the coat of arms redesign. The current $100 bill was issued in December 2019 and was the first in the suite of polymer banknotes. So people, we're going to have a new banknote with a steel pan, the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago, on it. I'm also seeing here a new young king has been crowned. Hail! All say. And that person is Squeezy Ranking. His song has been really, his social commentary song has really been all over the airways. So it says here, Anthony LaFleur, known as Squeezy Rankin, won the Young Kings Calypso Monarch Competition 2025 with his song Justice, which focused on fairness and equality. His lyrics and stage presence secured him the top spot. Kyle Cowie KC placed second with Western Tongue, a song reflecting on a past era. Mohammed Muwalakil placed third with Take Me Home, a personal song. Johan Duncan performed as Flasher, placed fourth with A Good. Devon Martin Lyrical placed fifth with Dotish, a song addressing social issues. Darren Greenwich Pharaoh placed sixth with America Has Spoken, which discussed international affairs. The event showcased all performers demonstrating the ongoing presence of Calypso in contemporary music. So, congratulations here to Squeezy Rankin, Mr. Anthony LaFleur, on winning the Young Kings Calypso Monarch. So let's continue. Let me just take off this thing here because if I don't, everybody will be calling and then I will end up being disturbed. Right, so let me continue. I see Wassa has won an appeal. Let me see what this is about, what this is about. I can afford to talk with green verbs and things, because me ain't no politician, me ain't no bourgeoisie, me is an ordinary citizen. Hey, okay, right, let me see it here. Hi, Hadara. So this was in the Guardian 20 hours ago, it says, so it's not 20 hours again, right? Wassa wins appeal over contract termination fees. A contracting company has lost its legal battle with the Water and Sewage Authority, WASA, over outstanding compensation for 2 contracts for water treatment plant that were terminated almost 2 decades ago. Delivering a judgment yesterday, 5 law lords of the United Kingdom-based Privy Council dismissed Waterworks Limited final appeal against the public utility. The legal dispute stemmed from the 2 designs and build contract for water treatment plants in Matura and Yarra. Around the time the contracts were signed in 2007, the company was informed by the authority of various issues at the proposed site of both projects. The authority indicated that it needed to acquire land from a private individual for the Yarra plant and that the Matura plant might need to be shifted from the location initially earmarked for it. It also indicated that certificates of environmental clearance from the Environmental Management Authority, EMA, would need to be obtained for both projects. The company engaged MAAK Technology Group Incorporated, a Canadian company, to provide design and construction supervision services for the projects. MAAK issued quotations for equipment for both plants, which it estimated to cost $50,396,761 for the Matura plant and $11,926,474.88 for the Yarra plant. The company accepted a quotation and issued purchase orders for both. In 2009, WASA informed the company of its intention to terminate a contract that had not progressed past the design phase, largely based on its delays. The company submitted financial claims under each contract, which included 30% cancellation charge for the equipment supply contract with MAAK. While the engineer agreed to by the parties approved some claims, he rejected others, including for the third-party compensation. After the company was sued by a lender, it filed a lawsuit against WASA seeking additional compensation. And the end result is this. I don't really know more. They lost their claim. WASA had to give them nothing. Now we could have the Caribbean Court of Justice as our final court of appeal, but it got no support, and again from who? Or they should know. Kamla Prasad Bisesa say don't have no Indian in the CC, just so she can't support it. Always about race with her. I'll come into something. So every minute I have to run to the Privy Council, to law lords, no disrespect to them. They don't live in Trinidad and Tobago. They don't know our culture. They don't know, well, we know the colonial history, but they don't know our culture and our tradition and nothing about our society. But they are the ones who is the final court of appeal to make decisions that impact our lives in the Caribbean. Whereas we could have the Caribbean Court of Justice, which is right here in Trinidad and Tobago, courtesy of Anna Robinson, God rest his soul, an advocate for it, where we could have had our issues dealt with people who understand the culture, the heritage, tradition, everything in the Caribbean. But they love the white men. It appears that some of them like the white men when the colonial master say, hey, it's true. But when the Caribbean people say, hey, we question. I just ask them. So, what's a win? Let me continue. I'm saying now, that $10,000 for stick fight. All I know, they used to have a saying long time that stick fighters used to mount the stick. I know the guy when they form it and think they have a hole that when you get a box, wherever it drip the blood there and thing you have to throw. It have a ritual. The punching and the this and that and whatever. They say people say come with the stick monk. So when you get lashed with that, you dice it, game over and all kind of thing. All that part of the tradition, right? Whether true or false or not. But one thing I know, they used to have they got a hole with the blood used to drop in that, and they had the ritual with the punching and the rum and the this. However, it's an art. So this was February 18th. That was a day ago, I think. $10,000 prize for most outstanding stick fighter at national competition. They coming out with it. Them woman afraid, nobody. Oh, something so. The Lost Tribe, in collaboration with Visa Trinidad and Tobago, will be awarding a $10,000 prize to the most outstanding stick fighter for the National Carnival Commission NCC National Stick Fighting Competition 2025. The 2024 Large Band of the Year winner worked closely with the Cambule Performing Art Collection and the Kalinda Collective to incorporate the traditional art form into its recent event, Fetiyad. In a statement, band leader Valmiki Maharaj said, the Lost Tribe was built on the foundation of preserving our past to be able to ensure our future. Initiative like this has helped us to not only strengthen our community, but build our village and build our voice. A special thank you to NCC Chairman Wincy Gypsy Peters, as well as Attila Springer, Kagan Taylor, and Yana McLean for supporting the initiative. The NCC Chairman welcomed the partnership, applauding the Lost Tribe for their efforts in incorporating the traditions of Carnival into its operation. He added, I'm extremely happy that a band that size of Lost Tribe is doing this kind of thing. It is not just participating, but keeping the spirit and the essence of Carnival alive. Conscious creative who are indeed ensuring the traditions of Carnival stay alive. I'm very happy with this, and that is why I agree to the partnership. So people, Lost Tribe have partnered with the National Carnival Committee along with the Cambule Performing Art Collective and the Kalinda Collective, and they are donating $10,000 for stick fight. People I would have gone to see, but the sight of blood does make me giddy. I just want to faint, and I ain't able with that. But good luck to the stick fighter men out there. That was a big thing, really, really big thing back in the day, and that is all a part of our heritage and our culture and our tradition. So let me continue. Just the thought of it, I start to feel giddy. So somebody, I think it was Roxanne. Hi, Constance. Hi, Carol. Hi, Denise. Hi, Miss Angela would have mentioned to me, why don't I play back that incident at Marlborough House? And I took up on it. I told her if you want me to do certain things, play certain tapes or whatever information, you could always let me know. So this is just a historic. This is history also, right? So let me just play the part where former President Sir Ellis Clark would have spoken about his experience at Marlborough House. This is all part of history. And we must not be afraid of our history. We must be able to accept it, understand it, and move on and use from it what we can to make us a better society. All right, so I need to get directly to that place because it is, oh my God, I hope I could find it. Oh no, just now. I need to get to this spot because, right, let me see.
This conference led to Trinidad and Tobago gaining independence. So that was in 1961. He never, in fact, assumed that post.
Shortly before our formal accession to independence, it was felt that my association with didn't hear them because he had his hearing aid on the other side. I certainly didn't mind a flirtation with diplomacy.
One of the main architects of the 1962 Independence Constitution, Sir Ellis Clark, attended the Marlborough House Conference in June of that year. This conference led to Trinidad and Tobago gaining independence.
So that was the Marlborough House, led by the Secretary of State for the Colonies and all his advisors, and the government of the day, Eric Williams and his ministers, and the leader of the opposition, Roldanaf Capildeo, and all his supporters. And I was there as constitutional advisor to the cabinet. I was sitting between Roldanaf Capildeo and Eric Williams, and some of Capildeo's remarks would have been unprintable. But Eric Williams probably didn't hear them because he had his hearing aid on the other side. I was the buffer between the two of them. But the government wanted something and the opposition wanted something else, and everybody got annoyed with me. The opposition felt that I should see their point of view. The government said I should support them. I was, after all, constitutional advisor of the cabinet, and I kept my cool and said nothing. So it wasn't allowed to reach deadlock. With their usual technique, the British had a tea break, and everybody caught up, and most people in a huff and a puff. By the time we returned, everything was hanky-dory. Apparently, Bill Williams had said to Rudy Capildeo, "Look here, we are the only two intelligent people here. Why can't we settle it? But the others." And Capildeo said, "But of course." And we had hardly anything more to do. The conference was virtually attended prematurely. That was the dramatic closure of the conference.
After independence.
So, you all heard it for yourself. Sir Ellis Clark was there at Marlborough House. He was a consultant to the government then. Well, Dr. Eric Williams and Capildeo and the opposition went up there. And he said the things that Capildeo was saying against Dr. Eric Williams was not complimentary. And, you know, Sir Ellis Clark is very, very diplomatic in his conversation. And he said he didn't know if Dr. Eric Williams heard because he had on his hearing aid. And the bacchanal that ensued. And then Dr. Eric Williams told Capildeo, when everything break down and bacchanal break down, we are the two smartest people here. We could come to something. And that is how we were able to get our draft constitution for Trinidad and Tobago, and by extension, our independence. However, imagine if Dr. Eric Williams did not use wisdom and diplomacy when he said that to Capildeo. What may have happened, because while that was happening up there in Marlborough House, this is what was in Trinidad. The Special Branch Monthly Intelligence Report for May 1962 reports on the racial, religious, and related matters as follows. The Indian Association of Trinidad and Tobago, IATT, held several meetings during the month for the purpose of raising funds for financing. Okay, so they didn't leave us yet. Again, I can always be corrected. So they formed the Indian Association of Trinidad and Tobago to raise funds for 4 delegations headed by Jang Bahadur Singh, president of the association, to go to the United Kingdom to protest the draft constitution for independence. And at one of these meetings, Kenneth Lala, a member of the managing committee of the organization, advocated civil disobedience and urged members to be ready at a moment's notice to march. Other speakers included H.P. Singh, who I always say is one of the biggest racists our country ever had, Secretary of Public Relations Officer, and he suggested, along with Kenneth Lalonde, that they should resort to violence if the wishes of the associations were not granted. The Indian Association of Trinidad and Tobago has formed an action committee allegedly for the purpose of planning acts of violence and sabotage, as well as training men for this purpose. It is reported that Conrad Gonzalez, a Trinidadian whose occupation is given as an engineer, was appointed to field organizer of the committee. A report indicated, that on the 25th of the 5th month, 1962, a decision had been taken to attack police stations and bridges and Negroes residing in areas where there is a predominance of East Indian origin. This was not implemented, however, because it was subsequently felt that such actions would have been precipitated, especially as Dr. Rudenath Capildeo had said that he was confident of success in his talks in the UK. Why I'm reading this is all to put in historical context. So as I said before, the Indian Association of Trinidad and Tobago was formed down here. The purpose was to raise funds to send up a delegation because they were going up to Marlborough House to stop the draft constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, to stop us from getting independence, because they felt that we African people, are paying it my way, can't run nothing. And they had planned to do sabotage and violence against people of African descent in communities that had a large number of East Indian people within, but then they kind of stopped that plan because they tell themselves it will have a backlash. But they also were confident because Dr. Rudenath Capildeo would have assured them that he would be successful in stopping the draft constitution. So let me go to Marlborough House. So just what I said before with Liz Clark being there, the racist thing, the uncomplimentary things that Regional Capildeo was saying towards Dr. Eric Williams. He wasn't sure if he heard it. Everything break down, the talks break down. Dr. Eric Williams and his contingent wanted this, the opposition wanted that. And because of that, the English of the very diplomatic, everything broke down, so went for tea. And Dr. Eric Williams, in his wisdom and diplomacy, said, listen, Capildeo, we is too bright this year. We can work out something. And they worked out something. I don't know what the workout something was, but wherever it worked out, we get to independence. And again, I'm going to read this, and it's simply to show you the mindset of some of Indian descent, and it continues to this day when you look and listen to what Kamla Prasad Bissessa is saying. Does the Indian Association of Trinidad and Tobago to remind you about this? Memoirs of Hulsi Bagan. In 1991, former Member of Parliament Hulsi Bagan made an outlandish and dangerous claim when she said that men of African descent were terrorizing and raping women of East Indian descent in central Trinidad. She organized her Shogunas constituents to march against crime and encouraged them to form vigilante groups to exterminate African men who were targeting the homes of East Indians. And that was a lie. Indian men with Rasta wigs were going around raping Indian women, and Hulsi Bagan, a UNC member of parliament, she advocated. In 1962, the Indian Association of Trinidad and Tobago, with their members, they were advocating against violence against people of African descent. And we had recently pundit from Aranguez saying that urban use in East-West Corridor targeting people of Indian descent in Aranguez with no data to support such. And then we had Kamla Prasad Bissessa, of course, in the mix was talking about standing ground laws to get guns so you could just shoot at will. Is that not a pattern? I'm asking a question. And as I am on that, I would like to tell again Dr. Fuad Khan with the greatest of respect, stop putting on Rasta wigs and doing your skits, because your skits has nothing to do with Rastafarians. Why don't you? Because by your surname, it is easy to assume that you're Muslim. Why don't you put on a Muslim headgear and do your skits? Why don't you put on a Hindu headgear and do your skits? Why do you put on one of the things that the Roman Catholic priest and others put on the head and do your skit? Why don't you use those things? Why you continue to put on this Rasta wig and talk like he is a Jamaican or a Rasta, whatever, and do a skit. And now read for you all Indian men, some Indian men were putting on Rasta wig and raping East Indian women, and the blame come on Rasta. There was a time, and it is still there, where people looked at Rasta with scorn. They say that insect in the hair, all they do make children, they're uneducated, they're school dropouts, and they just smoke weed. The Mahasabha just had was to talk against Jolene John for trying to insult Minister Stuart Young and his brother, who are of Indian and Chinese descent, and their mother being a Muslim, and using Hindu names to be insultive against them. And the Mahasabha had to come out and say, why use Hindu names? Why it is you all feel they could only interfere and bully Hindu people? Why not use Muslim name? I'm asking Dr. Farrakhan in that same tenet, why are you continuing to disrespect? I'm not speaking on behalf of Rasta. I'm not speaking on behalf of no Rastafarian community. I'm speaking as a Rasta woman. Why do we continue to disrespect Rasta? Put on a Taj on your head and do your live. Or put on some other thing on your head and do a live. Why are you only putting on Rasta wig? I think that would be very disrespectful, Dr. Fuad Khan. I don't see it funny at all. Because men in this country, Indian men in this country, was putting on Rasta wigs, and they were seen as African men and raping Indian women in this country. Coming out of that Hulsi bag and encourage her constituents to form vigilante group to exterminate African men. They run to Canada with that same complaint, and we end up having to have visa to go to Canada. Well, no, it's not like that again, because the Canadians and them would have investigated. They found that to be a heinous, discriminatory, and racist lie against people of African descent. Stop it, Dr. Khan. Put on a Muslim headgear and do your skit on them, and call yourself wherever you want to call yourself. All right, let me move on. Just a little more history before we go to put, let's tell you about Jamet and what Jamet really meant. So let me just read something here from Gerald, what's his name again? Give me a minute. It's about the Jamet society. We should not be again. Know your history, embrace the history, don't be ashamed of history. This is by Gerard A. Besson. I think he died last year, if I'm not mistaken, or year before. The Caribbean History Archive, and it said here, Jamet Society. La Vida Loca behind the bridge. We associate barrack yards and the Jamet Society with the history of East Port of Spain. But Carnival aficionados, no. There is more, much more to historical Laventille. As night falls on the city of Port-au-Spain, its eastern reaches seem to have flowed down from the hillsides and to have settled in the flatlands that stretch south and west to the sea. The full moon rises over it, making the impression of a liquid Christmas tree even more spectacular. In the hard light of day, however, this illusion vanishes. Laventille, as the eastern hills are known, might have gotten its name from the Laventer, as the Spaniards called the wind that came from the eastern Mediterranean, bringing with it the smell of the desert in the Levant. Very old houses, shacks, yards, disused quarries, winding lanes, steep steps, all these represent another side of life which was always very different from the lifestyle lived by those who inhabit the hills to the north of the west and the west of the city. The East Dry River was a creation of the last Spanish governor, Don Jose Maria Chacon. Before his governance in 1784 to 1797, it was known as the Rio Tragrit or Rio Santa Ana, and it ran its course as far as the Hospice on Observatory Street, turned west and ran along Park Street, along Frederick Street, across Woodford Square, and along Chacon Street into the sea. That's the East Dry River. Causing much damage through flooding in the rainy season. The river was deviated in 1787 to its present course. Governor Woodford widened its bed in 1817. In those days, the hills of Laventille were covered with thick woods. A few freed slaves lived there, hunting and collecting firewood. The first major infrastructural change took place in 1783 when Don Cosmo Sharuka had an observatory built on the hills. A road needed to be constructed along the ridge leading to it, Observatory Street. It was there where the first meridian of the New World was established by the Spanish astronomer. Shakura's building is now called Fort Chacon. A few years later, another fort called St. David Towers or Fort Picton was built a quarter of a mile to the west of it. In 1795, the Masonic Lodge, Les Frères United Brothers, was established at Mount Moriah. It is still located there. By the 1820s, Rose Hill Estate was established by Edward Jackson in the area opposite Park Street. When slavery was abolished in 1834, many of the freed slaves found refuge in Laventille forested hillside. By the 1840s, these were joined by a large number of Africans who had been liberated as a result of actions taken by British again foreign slave ships to suppress the slave trade north of the equator. Africans from many tribes settled in Laventille. Amongst them were the Mandingo, the Igbo, the Yoruba, and the Kurman. The entire area was for many years called Freetown. For years, the only existing bridge across the dry river consisted of a few planks at the crossing of Cadiz Road. The boys who had built it would extract a penny from any pedestrian who would use the bridge at his or her own risk. Later, the first real bridge was built at this spot called McCarthy's Bridge. The inhabitants of Laventille retained West African customs to a considerable degree. By being comprised of several barrack yards along sometimes secret religious and tribal lanes, there were many gangs or bands. These bands were devoted to singing and dancing, and their rivalries often led to feuds and open fighting. There were wakes, dances, and religious ceremonies accompanied by big drums, shak-shak, and banjos. In 1865, it was reported that a serious street battle had taken place between two factions of women, the Mussolinas and the Don't Care Dams. Other bands were called Immaculate Conception or the Terrible Becca Boys, who had the awful habit of tossing foul-smelling bits of cloth in the faces of respectable women. The streets of East Port-of-Spain came to be known as the French Shores, and those who inhabited them were known as Jamettes, from French diameter. The term referred to those outside the circle, the diameter, of polite society. In the eyes of the colonial government, the Jamette society was outrageous, vulgar, and obscene. Those were famous hoes, bajans, pandas, touts, chantwells, sick fighters, thieves, and murderers. It was from this social matrix that such present-day institutions like the Steelman and many aspects of Carnival and Calypso sang. Jamette society, Jamette female. We had Darling Dan, Ling Mama, Mosi Millie, Ocean Lizzie, Pitty Belle, Lily, Sybil Skeet, Alice Sugar, Carissa Jane. And we had men with Jamettes also, Cutaway, Rimbio, Shifra Brathwaite, Jojo, Thunderstone, Surishma the Caribbean. Deja Ze Yoneg, Medie Ze Nula Bla sang. Some of the sick fighters used to deaden the skin. A little more than a century ago, the festival of Carnival in Port-of-Spain was firmly in the hands of the Jamette Society. During the Camberley parade, sick fighters and baronets came out on Saturday night, and as the people gathered into bands, They fought with bois, whips, and words. Led by chantwells, the band carried lighted torches and drummed away on goatskin drums, as well as produced the eerie song of Tambo Bamboo. The higher classes of Trinidad, whites and colors, were appalled by the disgusting gestures, bad songs, women wearing men's clothes, and vice versa of the Jamet Carnival. The Second World War saw the birth of the steel pan. It was both an innovation and musical expression and a social explosion in Trinidad. It also provided an unparalleled instance of Puritan humbug. It would be impossible to trace the origin of the steel pans. These must always remain shrouded in mystery and is subject to endless speculation. All things considered, a not surprising genesis of this musical aberration and gimcrack orchestration, whose romantic odyssey spans an arc of picaresque or quay adventure that began in the slums across Port-au-Spain, recently reached Cape Kennedy, and is still orbiting. The actual mechanics of its emergence seem to be unimportant. So that's just a little history of the Jamet Society. And people, when you see the Dame Lorraine character, the big boobs and the big bottom, it's men used to play that. It wasn't women playing that. But again, Dame Lorraine is not one character. They have, over the years, put it as one character. Dame Lorraine actually is a group of characters. So you have one with big tete and one with big boom boom. You might have one with a humpback or a big lolo or something. It's different characters, but for probably convenience or probably as time went along, they made Dame Lorraine into one character. Dame Lorraine is not one character. And again, it used to be men dressing as women playing those vulgar and outrageous characters. But again, Jamet came out of a society where it's women who used to look after the men when they got hurt and sick fight there, they were like the nurses, they were there to see about the wound and all that, and then coming out of sick fight, the steel pan, they became the flag women, they became the women who were there to see about the men when they get in the clash and thing, but they also women, Jamets, who was fighters, actually used to fight, and it had one had looser eye, it had one with a cut. Listen, they were fierce women, right? They live on the fringe of society, and as they say, they will take all kind of foul-smelling cloth. You know, long time they used to use cloth for when women were seen that time ever. So all them kind of things they used to fling at these bourgeoisie face and all that. So yeah, it was a different time, and that came out of enslavement, rebellion, and that kind of thing. So I hope you all enjoy that little historical context. So people, let me go quickly to this because I don't want time run out on me. All I tell all you that people go on with a bad behavior in other people's country. And what I talking about? Let me just read this. So this is February 14th, 2025. It's in the San Pedro Sun. And it's my government. It put injunction to hold the March 12 general election goes to the High Court. That was February 14th. So it says here, claimant Jeremy Enriquez filed a legal injunction to hold the upcoming general election in Belize on Tuesday, February 11th, citing the absence of a constitutionally mandated redistricting exercise. On Wednesday, February 12th, he and his attorney Trinidadian Anna Ramlogan attempted to persuade the High Court to compel the Prime Minister to reverse his decision regarding the election date. The 7-hour debate in court concluded without a decision, though one is expected to be made early next week after both parties submit their arguments regarding the case. The primary argument presented was that holding elections without withdrawing electoral boundaries violates the principle of equal representation. They contended that significant disparities in constituency sizes undermine the democratic process. In response, the government asserted that it had met its constitutional obligation by submitting redistricting proposal to the National Assembly. In his court argument, Ramlogal emphasized that Belize must hold election by the Constitution, which mandates that the 31 constituency be nearly equal in voter population. He highlighted the current disparity using Mesopotamia as an example, which has around 2,500 votes compared to Sand Creek West, which had more than 10,000 votes. Enriquez said his team sent a precaution letter to both the government and the Governor General regarding the injunction. We did not get that response from the Governor General or the Minister in charge. They just went ahead, kind of ambushed us to get the process done to call the elections without redistricting, he said. But I am still hopeful that the judges are reviewing the situation and we will see what happens from there. The government's response to the injunction requested the court to dismiss the application. The government legal representation argued that the court lacks jurisdiction and should not consider such an injunction or application. They also noted that the injunction was filed late. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. John Bresinio stated that January 13th, that redistricting will occur after the general election set for March 12th. As soon as we are in office, that will be priority, he said. We need to carry our redistricting in the next government, and I plan to work on it. Bresinio indicated that the Election and Boundaries Commission, not WIOME, would handle this task, after which it would be debated in Parliament. So, Ramlogal was the lawyer that this man took, this man from Belize. He took Anna Ramlogal to fight in Belize to stop the election. Well, people, back up. Let me just play all you. What happened? Meeting day. Hey, Musa. Let me get it. And it's not music. So when I go to report me a say. All right, let me play Ting.
The judge has made some orders against Mr. Ramlogal personally in the judgment. I believe in my many years at practice, I have never seen a practitioner behave so disrespectfully, so disgracefully, and so inconsistent with the traditions of the bar. It was a most regrettable and I cannot believe that a senior counsel believes that he can come from Trinidad and Tobago and behave that way in our courts. And so I'm going to see what happens as a result of the orders that the judge has made against him.
Right? That is an attorney from Belize. Listen to here again.
In successfully resisting the claim brought by Mr. Enriquez. As you know, the attempt was to, in effect, stop the elections, which have been now scheduled for the 12th of March, 2025. I think that the judge listened very carefully to the parties, read tons of submissions that were filed by the parties, and came to the right decision. Just by way of reminder, this happened 4 years ago, 4 years plus, when the Belize Peace Movement tried to stop the elections in 2020. And Madam Justice Arana, as she then was, I believe she may have been the acting Chief Justice at the time, refused the application. So it is history repeating itself. I think there are a few things. The first is that there is no case that we have found, and none was presented to the court, where a court has ever intervened and stopped an election. Secondly, there was a number of cases from the Caribbean that we put before the judge that shows that once Parliament has been dissolved, the election must continue, and any difference, any issue you have is taken up after the election. What is surprising to me is that Mr. Ramlogan, who represented Mr. Enriquez, had written a document to the court saying that if Parliament is dissolved, the court has no jurisdiction. Yet when the matter was called up before the judge, he changed that document and put another one and deleted that paragraph. So I had to point out to the judge that Mr. Ramlogan was not being frank with the court because he knows what the law is, and we listened to him for 4 long, painful hours, go on and on without admitting to the court that the court has no jurisdiction. And so we submitted to the court, relying on decided cases, that once Parliament is dissolved, the case must continue and you take it up afterwards.
Is it that this lawyer from Belize is saying that our Anna Ramlogan would have been less than truthful? I just asking a question, because he had questions to answer on the side of the courts in Belize, and here what some of the questions are. I get this off a news source page. The parties are ordered to file additional submission on costs no later than the end of the business day on Monday, the 24th of February, 2025. Mr. Ramlogan SC shall, which means he has to, shall within 2 days of the date of this judgment write to the registrar providing explanation in full. A, whether he, Mr. Ramlogan SC, operates an office and a legal practice in Belize. B, his, Mr. Ramlogan SC, arrangements, if any, with Mercer S. Levan Pereira and Company LLP regarding those proceedings, and if that to be the case, the full details of those arrangements and why those arrangements were not disclosed to the court and in the pleadings file of record. C, the processes utilized in the drafting, signing, authentication, and filing of all affidavit, related pleadings, and exhibits filed in this matter, and the role of he, Mr. Ramlogan SC, and or all other relevant parties played in respect to each of the forestated stage processes, the pleadings, and related exhibits. D, the origin, source of, and the reason behind the use of the template digital signatures used and attributed to Jeremy Enrique Guez, and N. Carlos Sebastian, and why they were inserted into the relevant affidavits, pleading, and exhibit, and by whom, when, and how. This is to say, Mr. Ramlogan SC is required to address the issue of the superimposition of digital template signatures onto relevant pleadings or other related documents used in these proceedings, and E, the steps taken by Mr. Ramlogan SC in these proceedings to ensure the drafting, signing, authentication, and filing of all specified affidavits, pleading, and exhibit file of records were carried out in a manner that fully complied with the law, the CPR, and its obligation to the court. Case management orders shall be issued relating to the progression of the claimant's matter as set out in the fixed date claim from dated 10th of February 2025, and there is a signature, and it says HHJ Honduras. I just asking a question. Is it the same Alan Logan who was the AG of Trinidad and Tobago under Kamla Prasad Bissessa and the UNCPP government, who it is alleged during in my opinion, an illegal state of emergency, where it was just across the East-West corridor, when they hold and locked up about 8,000 African youths from the Nelsons and John Johns and those areas, that it is alleged that he would have told the police, lock them up. We were filing things to charge them with after. And then after the PP government lost the election in 2015, he became the lawyer for those same persons that were locked up from his order, allegedly, and would have fight the state now to win the cases. I'm asking, is it the same Anna Logan who, when the little girl, misguided as she was, made the little video thing and was talking with Kamla Prasad Bissessa and cussing or whatever, he said, hunt her down! Hunt her down! And they did hunt her down and found her and she was crying and had to apologize. Is it the same Anna Logan SC who, let me get to it, I'm asking a question. Who in 2019, the Privy Council said this about Mr. Alan Logan? I'm reading a part of the article. After the Privy Council hearing of the appeal, Al-Wari, that was Faris Al-Wari, who was the AG at the time, held a press conference saying he intended to write to the law lords to complain that Ram Logan, who represented Maharaj at the Privy Council, told them bold-faced untruths. During the hearing, he said Ram Logan was not being truthful when he said he demitted office as AG in 2014, and when Ram Logan said it was cabinet that took the decision to initiate legal action against Jones, and that would have been Malcolm Jones. At the hearing in March, the law lords expressed an element of discomfort over Ram Logan's appearance in the matter. Is it the same Anna Ram Logan SC that has to answer these questions in the court in Belize? I'm just asking, is it the same Anna Ram Logan who the lawyer in Belize said in his first submission, I think, for the defendant would have put in some area in there that says that the court, I can't remember, I'm not a lawyer, forgive me. I think the court cannot tell the government how to hold election or something so. But however, he removed it from that when he did another one. And this lawyer was talking, had to remind them that that was put in. Oh my God, what is happening here? What embarrassment this is for Trinidad and Tobago that they have to say if he feel he could come from Trinidad and come in Belize. No, why I'm saying this? Had this been any other lawyer, especially one of African descent, all the newspapers in this country would have been talking about it. Anyhow, that is what is happening in this country, where one of our esteemed lawyers has gone to Belize and would have put us, Trinidad and Tobago, on the world news, not for the right thing according to what the lawyer is saying there, but for all the wrong reasons. We will see how that goes. So I'm going to jump to Tobago quick, because they have Bacchanal too. They have Bacchanal too. So This person was interviewing Mr. Senator Ansel Dennis, who is the leader of the PNM in Tobago and who was the chief secretary when the PNM was in office there. I think her name is Chanel, if I'm not mistaken. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that is the same person whose name was in some kind of court matter with the chief secretary with some money and something, and they talk about pay Chanel or something. I don't know if it's the same lady. However, she was interviewing, Miss Chanel was interviewing Mr. Dennis and basically saying to the effect that how can Tobagonians who supported or who are PNM and supported the TPP, if PNM gets back into office in the THA, if what guarantee they have that they will not be discriminated against? And he explained this to her very, very concise.
The said victimization, if the People's National Movement is back in office for their quote-unquote betrayal, how do you respond to that?
Well, and there is no button to fall long here, right? There's no button for me to kick down, right? Simply check the PNM track record and check my track record. As Chief Secretary, I appointed Beverly Ramsey Moore as Vice Chairman of TPAC. Beverly Ramsey Moore has been somebody that was opposed to the PNM for years, and perhaps, I don't know, she might still be opposed to the PNM. Beverly Ramsey Moore represented parties in the Tobago House of Assembly that were opposed to the PNM. I appointed her as Vice Chairman of the TPAC board because of what I believe to be her competence and her contributions that can be made as a Tobagoan first and foremost. Dedan Daniel has been a critic of the PNM for years. I appointed Dedan Daniel to our Roadmap to Recovery working group, and that was a very important committee to the THA administration and to the people of Tobago. And I'm sure you remember what that committee was established to do, to look at the COVID situation, look at Tobago, and make recommendations for recovery. So it was a very important committee. But I felt that notwithstanding his political position, Dedan Daniel was one of those persons in the agriculture sector that had a contribution to make. And I'm saying as well, check the PNM's history, not only my history, check the PNM's history. We've had, and I will call some names, permit me to call some names. We have had people like Sertika or Megan Morrison, Zorisha Hackett, the Chief Secretary himself, and others who worked in the THA, some as teachers, some as public servants, some of them on contract, who worked in the THA. And they were free to express their political positions. They challenged the THA in court, they took the THA to court, they cursed members of the THA publicly. Some of them ran for elections, lose the election the Monday, and the Tuesday morning, bright and early, they came and sat right back at their destiny to be House of Assembly. Nobody fired them, nobody victimized them. And that is the PNM's track record. We've never seen a situation where the PNM came into office and restructured any company and sent home all the people in the administrative positions in the company. So people simply need to look at the PNM track record. We have never engaged in that kind of political victimization. Nobody in the THA could say that I refuse to renew the contract because of the political affiliation. Contracts were always renewed based on competence and based on people's ability to do their jobs. And during that period, I can only recall one person whose contract, and that wasn't even a renewal issue. That person was fired for gross misconduct. So there is simply no evidence to suggest that a PNM administration led by me will go into the THA and victimize people because of their political position. And the good thing is, the blessing that the people of Tobago will have before us in the next THA election is that you have two persons, or two main competitors, I should say, for the office of Chief Secretary, who both have been tried and tested. Last time Farley was a virgin, so he could have gone to the people and say anything. I will not fire anybody. I will create 3,000 jobs within 6 months. I will give a $10,000 extra shop payment to all Tobagonians. He could have said anything. But no, we have had the opportunity to see his true colors. You saw the PNM's true colors. You saw my true colors. You have to know this side.
Historically, when you look back at it, when the PNM took office again after the events, he had limited office, right? The Tobago
national, right?
Yes, we had the Ministry of Tobago Development, where a number of Tobagonians were employed under that ministry. And when the PNM came in, they totally disintegrated that ministry, sending home a number of Tobagonians. So how do you speak to that? In short, because we don't have a lot of time left.
Well, we started late, so I should get some in good time.
No, we have given you back your time, but we don't have a lot of time. And I still have a few other questions that I want to ask.
I'm happy you asked that question. The Ministry of Tobago Development was established by the People's Partnership to disrespect and duplicate what the Tobago House of Assembly was doing. And I'm sure people remember that there were several run-ins between the Minister of Tobago Development, the Ministry of Tobago Development, and the Tobago House of Assembly. They were engaged in the exact community-based projects that the Tobago House of Assembly was doing. Our position in the PNM was that we will not have that kind of interference from a central government in the Tobago House of Assembly's operations. And therefore, it was not a case of victimizing anybody. It was a case of making a decision that the Tobago Development Ministry had no place in the Tobago context in the presence of a Tobago House of Assembly. So the ministry was dismantled and removed as a ministry. So the PNM central government simply did not have a Ministry of Tobago Development. I will tell you, however, a number of those persons who lost jobs as a result of that, and none of them were treated with disrespect and disdain. As far as I'm concerned, they were all compensated properly according to law. That is my information. And a number of them as well were able to find employment in the Tobago House of Assembly.
Thomas.
You said Tobago.
Right. So that was Senator Ansel Dennis there explaining it perfectly. And correctly to Ms. Chanel, again, I don't think that the same Chanel when they had the audio gate and planning to spread propaganda, if Daddy Chanel was talking about. And if Daddy Chanel was in some kind of legal battle for some money from Farley and the chief secretary, I'm not sure, but let me continue. Peoples, there's plenty thing. Oh God, oh. This man born in Belize. Oh, Jesus. Hey, that's not right. It's not right. But will they keep it under wraps? Will Avinash, what's his name? Will Akash Samaru and Uvashri to Ari Rupnarain, will they run to do a story on that and find out what is happening? Or will they run to find out how could Minister Ambert be re-elected, not re-elected, but to be the candidate again, and how hands, when Dr. Rowley said, you're in good hands, how he could really be thing, and if, will they be focused on that or focused on this? Because this is not right. This is not right. And then again, remember, Kamla Basad Bissessa give herself and he silk. I don't know, people. So earlier, let me just read this thing here, Papa. It's too much, it's too much, it's too much, it's too much. Hey, give me a minute. 1 minute. Let me collect myself. Right. So apparently there has been some ad or something with this nice little lady speaking about some Connect 88 or some bacchanal. and where you had to pay money to get services, something social welfare and this and that and this and house and whatever. People making a big uproar how they could be charging for them thing, whatever. The Minister of Housing, the beautiful Mrs. Camille Robbins-Regis, had to come out and distance the government from, and also Senator Donna Cox, who is the Minister in Social Development, from this Connect 88. And this was in Trinidad Express, February 17, 2025, and it says, two government ministers have indicated that they are not affiliated with a Connect 88 organization that has been inviting people to apply for housing and food assistance grants. Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Mrs. the beautiful Camille Robbins-Regis, told the Express on Friday that the state and its agencies would not be charging people to join an organization. The Express had contacted the minister to query whether the ministry was affiliated with Connect 88 and noted that there was information that people were being asked to pay $150 to register for membership to this entity. Social Development Minister Donna Cox yesterday issued a release stating that it is not affiliated and does not endorse Connect 88. She noted that recent reports suggested a link between the ministry and this entity, which claims to be able to provide social services to Trinidad and Tobago. The minister says social services can only be legitimately offered through offices of the ministry throughout the country at no cost. She said the ministry maintains a strict policy of transparency and the partnership or collaborations are officially communicated through appropriate channels. At this time, there has been no formal connection or association between the ministry and Connect 88 Foundation, she said. Any claims to the contrary are false, she added. On Saturday, Shoguna's East MP Vandana Mohit, the one who showed me all the pampalam, whether willing or not, it was all over. That's how we first was introduced to Vandana Mohit. And why I'm saying it was her, but everything exposed. When she was asking Dale and Tony, was it her? She did not say it was not she. So if she says not she, me they had to say, well, then it was she. Has called for the Social Development Ministry to clarify its position regarding the recent promotion by the Connect 88 Foundation at an event held at the Shoguna's Community Center on February 13, 2025. She noted that during the event, the Connect 88 Foundation reportedly promoted assistance for housing grants and food cards, raising concerns amongst residents about the legitimacy of these initiatives and whether they are sanctioned by the ministry. Mohed said reports have surfaced suggesting that individuals associated with the Connect 88 Foundation may have implied or directly stated that a cost is attached to accessing these services. This has caused confusion and concern amongst residents of Shoguna's East and beyond who rely on these critical social service programs, she said, calling on for Cox Facial statement. And I will say to this to Ms. Mohit, like you wanted to get your name in the papers, because all you could have done as a responsible MP for your constituents, you yourself could have contacted both ministers to find out whether or not there was a link, but you so wanted to sound relevant. Well, you know what they answered. They are not connected to Connect 88, Ms. Mohit. So you get your 2 minutes in the sun singing educated and singing as if you know what you're talking about. Right. No, I ain't good. And I do not take back what I say about Ms. Mohit. Because as I say again, as a responsible MP, you could have reached out to the 2 ministers to find out what is happening then. If they did not respond to you, then you could have gone to the papers and all their concerns and background. But I guess you wanted to sound as though you're doing something. You will never be a Ramona Ramdian, my darling. Nope. So let me continue. So this is, I want to ask a question. Do you remember a minister's son Who planned said that was vendor? I think it was Dr. Tim Singh. Has my memory proved me correct? Well, I want to ask Dr. Suraj Rambachan, is this his son? And if this is his son, please come get your son. This ain't look like no skit. At first I watch it, I see they're playing, and then after when I see the man getting chokeouts and then humans, oh God, no, I realize this is real. So I'm asking Dr. Suraj Rambachan, because all that time had Dr. Rowley's son had to come and defend his father because not only of course, but the UNC say by one Miss, what's she name, Vanilla Topping, that he raped somebody and child is rape and all that. He had to come to defend himself and his father. So I'm asking the context because all they like to talk about other people's children. But when it's all their own, I don't see all saying anything, so I'm asking a question. Dr. Suraj Rambachan, who it is alleged your doctorate is real, yes. Is this your son? And if it is, you need to come get your son.
You don't wash my clothes. I wash my fucking clothes. Right? So don't worry.
People, I want to say, I do not only write to the music, that is how it came and who put it together. I'm asking again. Is that Dr. Suraj Rambachan's son? Because if it is so, you need to come get your son. What is happening? What is happening? One was beaten and that was vendor and all. They had doctor before their name. But let's watch people in Lavantel and people in Beatam and Silas and the lessons and all that and talk about we children. I saw this picture and it looks like Suraj Rambachan. Just a minute. Oh yeah. This is carnival time. It's madness. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh. Don't you find the fella to the back? Look like the fella was not choking the man, and that is not Suraj Rambachan sitting there, I guess probably with his family. No, people, this is on the internet. I didn't go looking for people. I didn't go and snap no picture of them, nothing. It is there for everybody to get. So again, I'm asking Suraj Rambachan, please, please, please. And I think I saw that same gentleman cussing somewhere on something on Facebook, whatever. Take away your phone, man. Take away your phone. And check on the man to make sure that man is okay, because the size of that fella choke, it looked like a joke. But let me tell you something, them that be strong, eh? Okay. And I'm just asking, doctor, with a question mark, Suraj Rambachan, is it that your son has some type of challenge, which is nothing to be embarrassed about, because at the end of the day, they are our children and we love them and all that. But if he has some type of challenge, with that type of strength, if he does not know how to regulate his emotions, he could end up harming himself and others. So check your son, sir. So now it continues. So they still want to get this lovely lady who is always, in my opinion, she's not partisan at all. She speaks it as she sees it. That is one economist, Dr. Marlene Atz. They want to put the woman in confusion and couture. They put up a post saying that in a shocking turn of events, UWI economist Dr. Marlene Atz has rejected the UNC offer to contest with an opponent's seat, leaving party activists demoralized and frustrated. Atz initially accepted the invitation to screen but abruptly withdrew after Kamala Persad raised baiting rhetoric last Friday. Sources say she wanted no part in a divisive, racially charged campaign. Meanwhile, Ravi Raturam left the screening in tears last night and Kabul will keep you updated. This was from UNC Kamala. So I read it, I was like, what? I don't understand what this is about. What am I hearing here? This beautiful lady, look at her, beautiful lady who has always been non-partisan. Why is she being embroiled in the UNC bacchanal? Only to read a newspaper release came out where she's saying, this is February 18, 2025, CNC's News. Economist Atz denies UNC screening rumors, and she said, economist and UE lecturer Dr. Marlene Atz has denied any affiliation with the United National Congress. She told Guardian Media she has never been approached to screen, nor had she indicated any interest in screening. When contacted, Dr. Atz said, this is complete news to me. Either a fabrication or someone's wishful thinking. I've never put myself up for screening except during airport security checks. It's unfortunate that, but so many serious socioeconomic issues at stake. Political mischief is taking center stage. As we approach the elections, the focus should be on critical and national matters, not on dragging non-political individuals into crass political games. Her denial comes after a Facebook post from the page UNC Kabul that claimed, and I read it already. So she is denying that she has been approached, ever thinking about and involved in anything remotely related to the politics and the UNC. So we got to keep our eyes on these things. They're looking to drag everybody into bacchanal and confusion. I also want to read this. Ting, everybody talking about, I tell you, do not be distracted. When the bell ring, all the quicksilver was split up all over the place. They're going to roll back into one, because the only thing they will be studying is to get the PNM out and them get back, for them to get back in. Okay? Listen to all what I'm saying and help make that inform you how to vote. But don't get carried away with it. Nope. And but PNM done win already. PNM ain't win nothing. All they have to go out and vote. So this, I saw this from Suzette Long, which says speaks. That is what it says. I'm just reading. So let's talk about corruption. The UNC is campaigning on race and corruption. Let me remind those attempting to bully me into supporting the UNC or to remain silent. 1. The Children Life Fund 2015, created by the PP in 2010 to provide financial assistance to parents and guardians with children in need of life-saving surgeries. The fraud squad had to investigate 13 cases of embezzlement or misappropriation of funds. And also, they sent our children to a substandard Colombian hospital where they died under that same Children Life Fund. I would like to tell all when they asked, I think the same Dr. Farrakhan who put on this Rasta wig and calling himself Rastaji, what he would have said when they asked about it. I'll leave that for next day. 2. And here again, the Attorney General name is being called the former Attorney General, who is in some embroiled in Belize that making we feel real bad because they calling and saying Trinidad lawyer come up there to feel he could get on, so they never see nobody so disrespect. Oh God. So yes, Susan always said it is alleged. Former Attorney General arrested in 2019. Former Attorney General Alan Ramlogal was arrested as he was waiting to board a flight to Piaco. The arrest was over his alleged involvement in kickbacks and money laundering During his tenure under Kamala Prasad predecessor, the sum in question totaled $1 billion TT dollars. 3. Cambridge Analytica. 2019, the UNC was accused of data mining, gaining access to people's personal data, excuse me, without their permission. Christopher Wiley, the whistleblower, told UK lawmakers that CA, Cambridge Analytica, worked alongside a company in 2013 to get information on the population. They, Cambridge Analytica, also reportedly the mastermind behind the UNC Do So campaign in what they sought to encourage Afro-Trinidadians to avoid voting, while the Indo-Trinidadian trend would listen to their parents and vote. This was revealed in a Netflix documentary called The Great Hack. Don't forget that. Section 34. In November 2013, 1 year after the PP under Kamala Prasad predecessor took office, while the SOE was in effect, Justice Herbert Volney made amendments to Section 34 of the Administration of Justice Indictable Proceedings Bill 2011 at the committee stage. This change was linked by former Denise Wren to the Ishwa Galbaran Singh and Steve Ferguson case. They were among a group of 40 persons who would benefit from the amendment. The law was appealed after the PNM held a rally. Darling, it was not a rally. It was the biggest march we have ever seen in recent time that Dr. Rowley led as the opposition leader in this country. All civil groups, all people, all NGO, everybody came out to march against it. I was there, the crowd was large. That's when Jack Warner look out and say, yes, Syrian and whatever, if I'm not mistaken in it. But again, he was trying to, love to insult, because I saw Syrian in it, I saw Caucasian marching in that march. Anyways, so it was no rally. It was only the biggest march in history. The law was appealed after the PNM held a rally. The Privy Council, it was a march. The Privy Council in London ruled that the repeal of the law was just. Live sports madness. A 54-page report from the Finance Ministry Central Audit Team concluded there was poor monitoring and control of the programs by the Sports Ministry that may have been breaches of the Proceed of Crime Act, and police information suggests criminal elements may have supervised and coordinated live sport. OAS. OAS was contracted by the People's Partnership Government to build the Solomon Hochoy Highway extension from San Fernando to Point Fortin to protect the taxpayers. There was a clause in the original contract that required that in the event of bankruptcy on the part of the contractor, the insurance bond securing the contract belongs to the client, NITCO. The last working days before the general election in 2015, September the 4th, 2015, the PP government under Kamala Prasad predecessor secretly and mysteriously, just like how the lawyer in Bailey say that Anna Ramlovan SC removed something he had written in the first submission. And secretly, mysteriously removed the relevant clause which protected the taxpayer interest in this billion-dollar project. During the execution of the work, the contractor went bankrupt in Brazil amidst widespread allegation of corruption. Not only that, when this government came in 2015, this matter was in arbitration court, and Munila was saying, if I'm not mistaken, it will waste money. It will waste money to run after that billion. It will spend more. And this government persisted, and we were able to get back our $1 billion, and we would have used that again to continue the Point Fortin highway, which I traveled on it, and let me tell you something. I was no guess, and up in the car to sleep because I'm not over to Point from Tongrel Farm. And by the time I twist sorting, we reach it good like that. However, we're still in court, I think. AMBD. A multi-million-dollar cartel case was brought by AMBD against a group of contractors, former officials, and Housing Minister Dr. Ram Milal. Cartel! That is not me put it so, I saw it is written. The AMBD claimed that Munila served as a shadow director of the company, as its former officials reported to and took instructions from him. Bold letters. There's so much more, but we'll get to the other shortly. This party I'm being bullied to support this party that I'm being bullied to support or not call out. So this is alleged to be written by Susan Lowy. People, take notes, but I get caught up, you know. So, somebody again wrote about the hypocrisy of Kamala Persad-Bissessar and her speaking about the money from the SRC. And what did they say? Because we know she could be very hypocritical. We have seen it in the past. So let me see if I find the story here. Ugh. So it says here, no, I hear nothing. I come to do my show for them. Then all should I tell me I don't have no show till then only want to go and listen to Darren and them say. You can't do the two things one time. So I will have to go back after and listen. So this was in the Express, February 17th. Kamala hypocrisy on salary increase. When one wishes to ignore or minimize comments on statements made by opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar, one is hard-pressed to do so when, with increasing regularity, she comes up with incredulous, egregious, and contradictory pronouncements. The latest is her contention that although she regards the recent salary increases for parliamentarians as obscene, she has no choice but to accept it because it was a government decision. Thus, against her just and moral conviction, the government has forced her to comply with an obscenity which she has no power to resist. And I want to just add here, when the SRC came to her when she was Prime Minister in 2013 with an increase in the salaries for she and all parliamentarians and opposition and politicians and 900 and something senior public officers, why she didn't accept the increase then? Did she not, along with the opposition, say, go back and do all the work and now they come back with it? So why you didn't take the money back then, Kamala? You could have made a government decision to accept the increases that they would have, the SRC would have brought to you, but you didn't. So shut up. However, Persad-Bissessar was so incensed by government's action, she had, in my view, three options. First, she could have refused to accept the increase for herself and her MPs, that is, if they agreed with the righteousness of her protest, and requested the Parliament Secretariat and Ministry of Finance to make the appropriate notation on her emoluments, records, and for those of her dissenting MPs. Not certain if given effect to the above option was administratively feasible. Although I think so. However, if it was not, then we move to the second option, which is to assign the increases to a fund for the construction of a new UNC party headquarters, which was promised 30 years ago by the late leader Basil Pandey and 15 years ago by the current leader Persad-Bissessar. Today, this project remains a pipe dream, yes, and a booming from pillar to post. That is a good idea. Do not take the increases and use the money to build UNC headquarters. If the second option is not acceptable, then she should have adopted the third option, which is to donate the increases to charity. As I am sure there are thousands of poor families in her own and other opposition represented constituencies. The fact is that none of these three options have been publicly embraced by her, points to a duality in her position. Publicly, she is courting popularity by aligning with the prevailing view against increases in annulments for politicians. But it's not just for politicians, it's 900 and something senior public officers. Privately, however, she and her MPs eagerly accept the increases which they deem to be deserving. There is a name for the adoption of these two-faced positions, one in public and the other in private. It is called hypocrisy, which is a social commodity in abundant supply in many spheres of life in TNT. I expect that the overworked UNC PRO, a rambling, discursive, and incoherent response, lacking in credibility and substance, as was his reply to my recent letter. And I think he's speaking about Kurt Mayhew, with the borrowed accent. That's my opinion. As I on that, I want to tell only this. And it goes to the thinking of some people who apparently are supporting UNC and who apparently may be of Indian descent. So there's this gentleman, I will call him gentleman, I don't know him, Dale Ramsumar, who in a post put up by Intron Ishmael, who was talking about Mbert, and I think that had to do when Mbert was nominated and accepted to go up again to fight his seat in the Gomartin West, I think it is. And Intron Ishmael seemed to have some discontent with that and the increases in salary they're getting and all that, whatever. And this man called Dale Ram Musar would have tagged me in a comment talking about dinosaurs, Roman, calling me a dinosaur, Roman who I keep believing in PNM. So I saw it, and then he went on to ask me how I feel about the politician getting a 40% increase in salary and I only get 4%. And if I was telling the union to take 4%. So I told the gentleman, yes, I told the PSA to accept the 4%, because me saying that was based on the fact that the PSA was not negotiating in good faith for us to get anything, and also the fact that in 2019, Watson Solomon Drew said he was all, I never played for, you know. The guy don't just talk, because I want to hear what Watson Solomon Drew said in 2019.
That all public servants, all workers in the country know that the government has made an offer. I have not even looked at the offers yet. I know they have made one, and I will look at it next year. I'm not worrying myself right now because I know they are on folly. When we look at it next year, we will decide whether we'll accept the offer or not. So that's what I'm saying for now.
All right. This was Watson Brook in 2019, going on made a video and saying that he was offered a percentage for the period 2014-16 by the Minister of Finance. He ain't going to look at it now till the next year because he think they're on folly, and he will let us know. He never came to General Council and told us what the percentage was. He never tell nobody nothing. He made a decision on his own not to accept it because he was involved in politics, so he didn't want to accept nothing and make the PNM look good because he fighting the THA election. So based on those things, I was informed when I was saying that yes, the PSA should take 4%, because at the end of the day, the PSA had no information or evidence to show that the government could pay more than 4% for the period that had passed 14-16, because if it was offered a percentage of 14-16 and you didn't take it, condition changed by 17-19. We had not only had a recession, we also had COVID-19 that shut down the whole world. So based on that, logically thinking and being trained in industrial relations and knows about collective bargaining, I felt it would have been better that the PSA accept the 4% and move on to a new period, which would have been 2020, 21, and 22, where they could have gone back to the table and sat down there in good faith and negotiated properly for public officers. Not only that, because of the fact we negotiate public officers, the method that is used to get a percentage is based on the retail price index methodology, meaning how inflation eats up the public officer's salary for the month, over the year, and over the 3 years, because that's 3-year negotiating period we have. So if I had it written down here, I can't remember where I write it down. So you look at the inflation rate, how it eats up the salary for the year, the next year, and the 3rd year, and coming from that, your percentage is, and that is how we negotiate. Whereas in the SRC, because they would have done an evaluation of those workers, the 900 senior public officers, politicians alike, they are able to use a different method in order to come up with salary increases for those workers. And the SRC, in my simple way, comes like the union for those category of workers. I don't pay the SRC to negotiate for me. I pay the PSA to go and negotiate first. But you know what? Leroy Baptiste, Felicia Thomas, and Avinash Maraj, because they don't understand the public service, because them come from statutory authorities, WASA and ADB, They do nothing but the public service. They cannot carry out and help the CPO and advise the CPO in any way to conduct a comprehensive evaluation of the public service. So our evaluation has stalled. So we still stuck using the same method to negotiate. Now, if there is a comprehensive evaluation of the public service, then we can change the method of negotiation and we could think about using market value or even living wage, where it will be a difference in how we negotiate. So having said all that, I told the man, this Dale Ramusar, that yes, I said PSA should accept the 4% and I would have given my reason. Probably he felt I would have lied. And he asked about the 40% and I explained to him about that 40%. It had nothing to do with me. Again, he probably think I would have lied. He found that was not enough. He put up a picture of me, my pumpkins, and my member of parliament in the PNM jersey and asking if that is me. And again, I answered him truthfully, yes, it is me. And I also went on to tell him, I am black, I am African, I am Rasta, and I PNM and I proud. You know, the man tell me I racial. So like I wanted to lie to them. And I want to tell Mr. Dale Ramusam because I wanted to get the message clearly. If you're not proud to be Indian because your surname suggests you're Indian, that is your business. If you're not happy being you and you can't accept yourself to being you and you're afraid to say you're proud to be Indian, that is on you. It has nothing to do with me. But me, I am proud to be black. I'm proud to be African. I'm proud to be Rasta. And I'm proud to be somebody who supports the People's National Movement. What is the problem with that? So he said, I am racist. And I always talk in race. Because they don't understand what I'm speaking about, either deliberately or they really don't. My conversation has always been, be proud to be whoever you are. Know your history, understand your history, be proud of your history. And when you love yourself, real love yourself, which is the first love, then you'll be able to love anybody else. And because I love myself, I'm able to love any other race. And I will stand with any other race to build this country for we children, all of we children. What I will not do, I will not bow my head and hold my head down and feel shame and nothing. There are some in my community, when I say community, in the African community, who doing wrong things. That is not an African thing. It have those in the Indian community, some of them doing wrong things, and other communities doing wrong things. Those are human issues. It's not an African thing. Crime is not an African thing. So I will not be held to be accountable for what some in my community do. Me and the mother, me and the auntie, me and the nenen, me then help christen them. I don't know them. Let the family treat with that. So I will not be ashamed just because in the African community, there are things that are unsavory that is happening with some. I will not be ashamed to say I'm black and proud or African. So if you in the Indian community, you are proud of yourself or proud of what's happening in the community, whether good, bad, or indifference, don't tell me no stupidness that I'm racist because I'm pronouncing I'm African. I will tell you it all the time and I keep telling all you. I am African. I'm Rasta. I'm black. And I'm proud. And I support the People's National Movement because that's the only national party it have in this country from 1956 to now. They have withstand the test of times. Unlike the UNC, who has several reincarnation from the days of Balasaga Mirage with PDP, DLP, SDLP, one of these unions, some sugar union, something. ULF, Club 88, UNC, PP, UNC, and UNC. They could never hold it together because they don't have a foundation. The foundation is based on, in my opinion, racist politics. That is why Kamala Persad finds herself in the position that she's in, And she, when she sees, in my opinion, herself losing grip on things, had to come with the dog whistle and talk about racism. And who racist against Indian, and who say all Indian are thief. To tell you how foolish it is, they used to say Desmond Carty say all are we thief, all PNM thief. So all of a sudden, we saying, she say, we saying India, all Indian are thief. Anybody ever said that? She's the one who is saying those things, not us. But they don't say African in crime, all African in crime, African in crime, the black man, raping Indian woman, the black man is all full of jail, is all trying committing wrong, is all trying fighting in school. They have no problem, some of them, saying that about people of African descent. It's comfortable to say that. But when they want to get sympathy, because they realize people are buying into the BS, all of a sudden, some of them come, let us give the Indian community a bad name. And she kind, who does think like she, creating distrust in the communities. Because we live in good. Bauchi, Nana, Tanti, living good. They had a little thing, whatever, and they come back, girl, and they talk it out. We live in good. But it's people like Kamla Basar Bissessa, and who does think like she, and some in the UNC, who continue to create the division in this country. PNM are doing that. PNM has always been open and receptive to all races. That is a fact. So, Mr. Ashton Ford would have come out and he would have said this. February 18th, Daily Express. Among the aims and objectives embodied in the PNM Constitution since 1956, which was religiously adhered to by the political leaders and demonstrated in the governance of the country, whether in government or in opposition, is the following tenets. The People's National Movement, the PNM, is a political organization pledged to the maintenance of the rule of law, founded upon democratic principles, basic human rights and dignity, and dedicated to the raising of the moral and material standard of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago and the promotion of their progress in all fields, political, economic, social, moral, and cultural. From its inception, the first chairman was Larry Constantine, with his vice chairman, Dr. Abid Mosahib, which signaled to the country that the PNM is open to every creed and race. We acknowledge the fact that a majority of our support base comes from the African Trinbagonian community, just as the UNC acknowledges that their base comes from the Indian Trinbagonian community. However, the PNM in adherence to our constitution caters to all. Every creed and race finds an equal place. It's supposed to be find. Every creed and race find an equal place under the PNM. Even though the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago knows this and have experienced this because of the inanities uttered by the opposition leader, he's saying that in the Ashton Ford, I moved to debunk a statement which in her heart of heart she knows are not true. And so we witness another attempt by the opposition leader in the most obscene ways, accusing the PNM of racism in a court matter that involves her party member who sits in the House of Representatives. Dr. Raleigh made a profound statement during his news conference when he said, I want to say something here to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, especially the East Indian population. You have nothing to fear from the rest of the population. The law will determine who is police and who is thief. Compare Dr. Rowley's statement to that of the late Dr. Eric Williams, then leader of the PNM, when he lambasted party supporters attending a convention in the 60s. He said, it's a crime against the PNM, treason to the national community, for PNM supporters to snare, as some did a few days ago on Rising Road, at Indians wearing Balize shirts. What would you prefer them to wear? A flaming torch tie the DLP symbol. I call upon all party members to stop once and for all this infuriating nonsense that every Indian is anti-PNM. Every Indian is not anti-PNM, nor is every white. Some of the worst enemies of the PNM are as black as the ace of spades. Reaction knows no color. What is the color of the opposition in Ghana or India? So today, PNM political leader Dr. Rowley stands on solid ground, as Dr. Eric Williams did when it comes to dealing with the racism and politics in Trinidad and Tobago. They do not go together, especially in our country, where we sing our national anthem. Here, every creed and race find an equal place. They need to take out this S from the find. It's not finds, it's find. I am mindful of the fact that our political opponents will not stop in their ruthless way to promote racism in their vain attempt to govern our beloved country once again. However, it must not be allowed to find shade or fester. This is not the reality of our beloved Twin Island Republic. That there is Mr. Ashton Ford, who was the General Secretary of one time in People's National Movement. The People's National Movement does not have a history of racism. The UNC, PDP, DLP, SDLP, ULF has a history of racism. That can be proven. So I want to tell Mr. Dale Ramsmayer again, when I speak about racism or I call somebody out for being racist due to the comments, it's because there's evidence to what I'm saying, Mr. Dale Ramsmayer. And me professing and saying I'm proud to be Black African Rasta and also a PNM does not make me a racist because I talk about being proud to be Black. Again, if you are not proud to be Black, sir, because you're surely not white, you go to the United States of America, you are not going to be class white, you're going to be either brown or black. If you're not proud of the color of your skin, your hair, your ethnicity, and your history, that is your burden to bear, not mine. So as I say again, people do not get caught up in the bacchanal of the UNC, because like Quicksilver, when the bell is rung, they will wipe their face, wipe their mouth, and find some type of excuse. We have seen it played out so many times before. So it is not illogical to think the same thing could happen again. I could be proven wrong, but I wait to see. Because when you see you want power, and it's not about fairness and in ruling in all justice, equal right and justice and all that, trust me, it doesn't know how to put aside and come together. And use the excuse is the PNM we want to remove. So Kamala is now saying, and we have always said it, about some coalition with Farley, Chavez, Augustine. We are not surprised. It's now coming out. And this is the year of the Jubilee. I want to end by telling you, this is the year of the Jubilee. Those who are spiritual minded, religious minded, will understand what this year means. And understand this is the year of the harvest, enjoy the harvest. And all who have been harvesting lies and nastiness and evil and wickedness, that is what they're going to be reaping. And everybody going to see them for who they are. And who have been toiling in truth and honesty, that is what they're going to be enjoying, and people will also see that. So Kamala Prasad Bisesa, as the deceased Satmara says, you think you could eat where you want? You think you could drink where you want? I'm paraphrasing. And think that you will still have the Hindu vote, he say, go free it up. So I'm wondering, based on the utterances of his son Vijay, if it's the same thing when he came out and condemned Khadija Amin and Julian John for what he perceived as the disrespecting the Hindu community. I just asked a question. And let me just play this again because I wanted to stick in your head the importance of a people's national movement.
I think if you really understand what we've done from independence to now, and the role that the People's National Movement has played in the development of Trinidad and Tobago, you would understand the exceptionally bright future we in Trinidad and Tobago have ahead of us under the PNM. Our history will show that all of the great steps, leaps and bounds forward have all been under the PNM. I am proud of the role that this party has played, the leadership role in CARICOM from inception to now, the role that this PNM has played in the global energy sector, with the vision that our forefathers had in the 1970s, creating the Point Lisas estate and moving us to a gas-based industry. That was ahead of our time. And that was a global move, again, done by the PNM. What you've seen us do in the last few years, maneuvering under a great leader, Dr. Rowley, to now have a future with cross-border gas, a future as a continued leader in the region, working with our CARICOM sister countries. It is only a PNM government and the leadership of the People's National Movement that can achieve these great things. We're not the populist type. PNM will govern properly, taking the hard decisions, but always ensuring that we're building a better Trinidad and Tobago, no matter how difficult it is. And that is the beauty and the strength of the PNM. So join us. Be part of the movement, a movement that's existed now for over 6 decades, with a constitution and structure. Be part of the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. We shall prevail. I see chat.
I'll just wait there. Good night to Carlo, Peters, Andrew, Elizabeth, Angela, Philo, Carol, Simone, Raj, Sherry and Jesse, Sandra, Florence, Frederick, Donna, Roxanne, Ivan, Gloria, Hollister, Pauline, Margaret, Judy, Estra, Melka, Grace, Patricia, Glennis, Christopher, Kenneth, Philomene, Eunice, Sharon, Shelton, Martha, Diane, Raymond, Monica, Anthony, Katian, Joyce Lynn, Janice, Helen Russell House, Hadara, Sailor, Maria, Anton, Maureen, Joyda, Katia, and Salome. I want to thank you all for staying locked on and tuning to another Larry Toby thing. Join me on Friday, goes when I come with something for something new. People don't be distracted. The news that we hear is not things that we are totally surprised about. However, don't get caught up with the UNC and all of them divided now. When the bell ring, I won't be surprised if they come back together. What the People's National Movement and the supporters of the People's National Movement have to do to make sure when that bell is rung, that everybody from a household who over 18 get up and come out to vote early. Come out and vote resoundingly. So the People's National Movement could get about 25 to 26 seats in the House, so that when they have to pass all the good laws in the interests of the citizens, all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, they will not have a disruptive opposition party stymieing everything. You will have, again, where lawyers could go to the Privy Council and ask for murderers, first time in history, first time in the Commonwealth, overturning a 150-year law where murderers could now get bail in this country. And the first one who got bail in this country was alleged organized house break-ins in somewhere across the Caroni Bridge there, and I think he was killed. Yeah. So now alleged murderers has the expectation that they can apply for bail. You will have those things happening. You will have people just stymieing bills because they can, and because they need it, because they know it needs a special majority, and because the government want to do things in the interest of people, have to sometime water down the bill in order to get certain things done. So, if you all want things to change, you all want to support and really show the world that Trinidad and Tobago is an exceptional place where every creed and race find an equal place, where a Chinese man with Indian heritage could become the prime minister, where an Indian man could become the prime minister, a Syrian man could become the prime minister, a Douglas man could become the prime minister, a black man could become the prime minister. Those things can only happen under People's National Movement. It will never happen under UNC, where somebody of African descent leads that party into any election or to be the leader of the UNC. They could be deputy and all that is quite okay, but never the leader. I'm saying that with confidence, based on the evidence that are shown or the policy of the UNC that filtered down from Barry Sagamara, because it is a Hindu-based party, political party. Let us don't get tied up with that. So people love you all, stay safe, and remember, when the election bell is rung, when that election bell is rung, vote resoundingly. Yes, and I'm telling people, vote resoundingly for the People's National Movement. And I'm proud to be a PNM because them and the UNC who look like me and them proud to be UNC. So what I have anything to shame about? The UNC always in bacchanal culture and confusion. You see the former AG, what going on in Delhi's beverages, and they're still proud. Look what going on with Dr. Rita Mudla with the MBD, and they're still proud. So who is me? Nobody in the PNM could ever do them thing and remain in the PNM. They would have had to leave. So I must feel shame to say as a PNM? Hell no. Who don't like it could bite it, and then when they don't bite it, they could wipe it. People are gone. I love all you. See all you on Friday gospel. Be safe out there.